Happy Place, Saturday class again for you. I really enjoyed last week when you were posting your 3 mandalas with blended colored pencils with different things, and you tried different things. It was really fantastic to see on our Facebook group. Somehow I'm guessing feel that people like to work with mandalas because the way we do them very often in John Happy Place lessons, they're quite expressive. We don't really follow many patterns as such, and I happened to be coming across my packaging from my ready-made pizza a few days ago, and I thought that's a great start for a mandala. So this is fully recycled project, but you can use watercolor paper if you don't have ready circle kind of shape from cardboard, but can be done cardboard. Cardboard is more challenging. It was not so easy to work on it. However, it gives you great possibility for texture. This texture is created and this pattern only because that's the pattern that cardboard has itself. This is project where I'm asking you to create powder from your own pastels, mix it with paint, apply it to your mandala and let it dry, and then go on top of that with some additional drawings with pastels. We're talking about soft pastels. You can also substitute for soft pastels with just standard chalk. That will work as well. You can use soft charcoal. You can use compressed charcoal. Of course, with charcoal, you're only going to go with black, gray, and those kind of colors. You can also use old makeup eyeshadows in powder if you can get that powder out and sprinkle on your mandala, because that's what we're doing. We're sprinkling powder from pastels onto mandala and then adding water and paint to mix it together to form the background, and on top of background you can add drawings and lines and patterns with dry pastels. Okay, so have fun, and I'm looking forward to what you create. It's always fascinating. Take care. Bye bye. Okay, so what I'm using here for this experimental pastels and paint project, this is actually ready-made pizza base, so I just saved that from the packaging, and I thought that would be good to do the project. You can use circle from any kind of paper, it shall work. So what we need is a basic acrylic paint. I'm going to work with white, and I have one that's more creamy and one that's quite runny, and mixed it because I may need just something in between. Pastels, soft pastels, so they normally blocks like that, or chalk, and it looks very similar. Just pull one out. That will do. Charcoal may work as well, and actually if you have unused makeup, eyeshadows in powder, that will work as well. With pastels, I just need to make a pastel powder. That's what I'm doing, and then apply that powder on my circle, then go with paint and start mixing it. So that's the whole fun. I'm using sandpaper here just to get them back to powder. I say back because they actually are made out of powder. So you can do that. You can use any kind of even kitchen, if you can. Don't know if that's safe in terms of toxicity, so maybe use something that doesn't go into food. Maybe you have old some people have like cheese grater, tiny one, that will do as well. So I'm going to grate lots of pastels in different colors. Takes time, but it's not that time consuming. So let me try chalk just to see the difference. I'm still picking up some of the pastel because chalk is harder, the stick is harder. Yeah. Yeah, it works. Let's get some yellow. know, if you have big piece of sandpaper, that will be easier. Even with the small, look how much powder I can get quickly. Let's try charcoal. Charcoal, look how quickly you get the powder because it's so soft. So that's a charcoal stick. It's not compressed charcoal. You can use compressed charcoal as well. This is willow soft charcoal. So, you know, you only have charcoal, you can do that with charcoal. Okay, let's go and get something maybe red. So that's giving me purple because he picked up the blue powder I had here in first place. Right, so I will continue and come back to you when I have more powder, so there's enough to mix with paint. Okay, so I have powder, different colors on my paper, and before I progress, I'm just going to add some thick lines as well with the pastel. That will create more color. So your pastel will react with both water, and it will just dissolve that into something that looks more like watercolor. So if you're creating that on watercolor paper, you may want to use it just water. By adding acrylic paint, you will go more into colored paint type of thing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have my runny cheap acrylic paint in a few places. And I'm going to go with wet brush and see what happens first. So look, it's already dragging the color. A bit more water. So this is a bit more like watercolor you would get on watercolor paper, this top part, because I haven't got any paint here. With paint, you can see it's more like you can create this colored, the color of pastel kind of paint by adding paint. Okay, and now I'm going to experiment with my another acrylic paint, but this one is more creamy. I'm just gonna get a clean brush, go into my charcoal. So I'm getting this grey, a bit of blue. So keep wetting my brush, because the paint needs to be a bit wet to activate your powder to start dissolving. Okay, so this is dry now, and what you will notice with pastel powder and paint, it will mute the colors because you're adding white to it. Even if you're just adding water, then maybe more vibrant, but still you are dissolving the pigment. So what I'm doing now, I'm just going back to my pastels and applying some on top of that, but just remember to dry it. So this is now over to you, what colors, what patterns you want to give it. It's really depending on what colors you already applied. Mine's still a bit wet here, so that's a lesson for you. Don't do it when still wet. I'm being impatient. And you can also still block quite big areas of color with your pastel on top. It's a great way because you're not going now directly on the paper or cardboard in my case, which is more difficult, by the way, working on cardboard than paper. I'm definitely experienced that. But because you already have something there, which comes from pastel as well, it will combine well. And remember, with pastels you may want to just add the kind of more color, blend it with your finger or paper tissue, or actually use it for drawing, like a drawing stick. So I'm just looking for white in my box. I believe this is it. And you can draw patterns. So that is over to you. It's a nice pizza, isn't it? I think. That's another example where you can get, because it was the pizza base, this texture comes from the texture of cardboard. I like that. Okay, I leave it to you because mine's still dry. So, wet, so I need to dry it fully. Unfortunately, I'm not being patient enough. But I take a final photo and I'm sure you understand what to do. I'm really looking forward how it works for you. Try on cardboard if you have one, like this one from pizza, or maybe actual paper, different packaging from food. Have a go. Bye bye.